Why are illegals being prioritized over homeless veterans? Guys, John Claymore here / Gear Issue 33. Now, guys, this video here is going to be going on Gear Issue 33 alone. And, of course, we got to ask the question, why is it every time we turn around, big cities like New York, Chicago, these so-called sanctuary cities, which, by the way, are taking in a lot of illegals, which, by the way, also clogs the system, and it also takes away from others who, quite frankly, are here illegally. By the way, I'm going to get labeled as bigoted in this, even though I am very, very pro-immigration, but I'm pro-legal immigration. But I want to talk about this for a second because I think this is very, very important, especially seeing how we have this migrant crisis going on in the country, and, of course, this is eventually going to become a national security risk. I'll probably do videos in the future about how this is actually somewhat of an invasion, seeing how this video right here is more of a prepping and military-based channel. But we got to talk about this. Fact of the matter is that it's all about politics, as we will get into here very, very shortly. But here is the thing that people need to understand. Those who fight for the nation, those who gave their life for the nation, those who come home and have to deal with very, very bad economies, we're the ones that I personally think should be taken care of. Me, of course, being a veteran, I, quite frankly, was very, very fortunate. When I got home, I was able to get a job, not great jobs. I was able to eventually survive long enough to eventually put in for benefits, go to college twice, get 2 separate degrees. And, of course, I'm here on YouTube. And even though I've not taken off fully, which, by the way, I need you guys' help to do, I consider myself to be lucky. I got out of my 2 deployments in Iraq without getting wounded, basically unscathed, other than the typical stuff that comes with serving your country. But there are a lot of people out there who, quite frankly, did not get this benefit or, quite frankly, have not been as fortunate. So we got to ask ourselves a question. Why is it that illegals are being placed over actual veterans? Now, guys, I came across this piece right here from The Five, and they somewhat discussed this to a certain degree. We're going to respond to this. This video is going to be kind of a 3-4-part, 4-segment video, so make sure you guys stick around. There's going to be a response, then a re-response, and then we're going to be talking about things that should be done in the future to help kind of curb this in the future. With that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into this.
A free-for-all in America's largest liberal city. Hundreds of illegal immigrants lining up outside a New York City hospital, bussed there by Texas Governor Greg Abbott. The city offering migrants free phones, food, health care, and many are being put up in $400 a night luxury hotels. Now, these great perks coming, of course, courtesy of the American taxpayer. The New York Post summing it up as, quote, land of the free. But what about the American citizens who are already here? Do they get a handout as well? Nope. Rent prices have been exploding all across the country. One person forced to pay nearly $20,000 just in order to secure a 1-bedroom apartment. So, Joey, I'm going to start with you. You hear all these handouts. What's the message to America's homeless veterans or families who are struggling? And I mentioned this as well. When this whole border stuff started heating up under Joe Biden, and I heard they were putting illegal migrants inside of barracks, I thought, well, why haven't we been doing that with homeless veterans? So what's the message to the American people when they see this?
Well, it's Kelly. I don't personally equate those two things because I think they're two problems with two different root issues. It's easy, though, to look at that and say, where are your priorities, government? I would say that the Democrat Party would love to have veterans on their dime as well so that they can be pacified and bring their votes in as well. They love any class of Americans. Sure. They can put into a position where they need the government to make ends meet. With illegal immigrants, though, and that is the root cause of this issue, this problem is so old news that I laugh at it. I mean, I grew up in a town in the 90s where this was a problem. My grandfather worked next to an illegal immigrant every day for 7 years. That illegal immigrant paid $1 in taxes. My grandfather paid a lot more. When the government caught up to him, he left. He came back 6 months later under a different name and Social Security number, continued to do the same thing, and that happened over and over again. The infrastructure for fraudulent identities in this country is a problem, and it's something that the government knows about. It's something that in some ways both partisan sides are complicit in, because in the 90s it was great to have all that cheap labor. Well, now it's a little bit harder to do that, and so everybody's gotten more creative. But the immigration problem starts and ends with a government so dysfunctional that it can't do what most Americans are asking it to do, which is to reform immigration and have a policy that makes sense. And I go back and I beat this dead horse, and that's okay because dead horses don't feel anything. I beat this dead horse. Nancy Pelosi had a deal with President Trump to fund the wall and in return get a codified DACA and reforms in visa applications, something the Democrats wanted. She didn't take it because she couldn't give President Trump the win, and she knew she might have a chance at winning in the courts, what she did on DACA. So when you talk about doing what's best for the people, that's always going to come second for what's best for partisan politics, especially for those like Nancy that are in power.
Illegals equal more votes, that's why. For the most part, I actually agree with Jones. You see, a lot of people, especially a lot of veterans, look at the situation and they say to themselves, you've never taken care of us before. You've never actually given us exactly. You've never actually prioritized us, so we kind of are somewhat numb to it. However, the government itself is completely inefficient. And I'm going to be bringing up something else too in the past, which is going to kind of be like a re-response or kind of a second point to be made. This is all about politics. You see, if you bring over illegals, then what you're looking at doing is bringing in cheap labor. By the way, it's not just the government. It's also coordinated in some businesses. Now, guys, really quick. I'm not anti-rich at all. As a matter of fact, the vast majority of people in this country, most of us, most hardworking Americans want to make money so that way they can take care of their families and be successful. So in no way, shape, or form am I anti-rich. Also, something else too, I understand that the rich man has got to be able to pay my paycheck when I work in the private sector. It's just the way that it is. This is one of the reasons why I don't agree with wealth taxes. I'm a little bit of an economic moderate when it comes to actually taxation. I just want to go ahead and kind of throw that out there. But in no way, shape, or form am I being anti-rich. But let's be honest, when you have a flood of illegals coming in, they typically tend to work for much, much cheaper labor. By the way, it's not just the fact that veterans are not being taken care of as far as benefits is concerned. I think the government's got a little bit better on that. The health care is still not as good. I'm still dealing with the VA myself over this issue with my tooth, which, by the way, was supposed to be fixed last year, but here the hell we are. But here is the thing about this. At this moment in time, they're not exactly trying to prioritize us. And like Joey Jones was kind of saying, I think most veterans are kind of numb to this and we kind of expect not to be taken care of. It does burn me up a little bit that these people are being put up in a very nice places, of course. And we do have a very bad migrant issue, which is, as I said before, the first part is a national security risk. The reason why is because we don't know who the hell could be coming in. I mean, dude, at one point in time, there was reports that Syrian refugees and refugees from the Middle East as a whole, people who may have ties to the Taliban and whatnot, were sneaking through the border posing as Mexicans, posing as South Americans, getting in. I mean, that right there, that just seems like a bit of a problem. And quite frankly, with the massive flux of migration coming in, it sounds to me like terrorist attacks actually become a much grander possibility. Just throwing that out there, YouTube. Please don't dox this video. But as far as taking care of veterans is concerned, when they actually do something like passing, say, the PACT Act, it to a certain degree kind of, let's just say that it kind of misses the full point and picture, which is what I'll get to right now. I did a couple of videos on that right there, especially with Jon Stewart and Jack Posobiec's responses and whatnot. And the point that I was trying to make, and of course, one of these said individuals, Tim Jensen at Grunt Style, I kind of felt he was missing the mark with a lot of his tweets. And by the way, there's been a lot of content out there on him saying that he's not exactly what he presents himself to be. Let me go ahead and kind of break this down for you guys. The whole PACT Act thing, which, by the way, I'm all for getting veterans help. I mean, I'm a veteran myself who's been exposed to some of these burn pits. So obviously, you want that actual support. You want that assistance. You want to know that you can go there and actually get help in case some health problems arise. But the thing is this right here. What good is that right there going to be if the inflation is through the roof? You see, those guys didn't want to actually vote on that section of the bill. They wanted to vote on an additional $400 billion worth of spending, which quite frankly was not supposed to be in that bill. So I got to ask Tim Jensen the question, are you helping veterans out? I mean, are you actually helping them out? Because right now, the only thing you did was raise inflation a little bit more. I mean, if I can't pay for food, if I can't pay for water, if the price of everything goes through the roof, then what the hell good is the PACT Act going to be for me and other veterans? You see, even when they do put forth these veteran bills, it's somewhat hollow because there's always another bigger point right beside it that never actually gets addressed. It's one of the reasons why I say that veteran-related stuff needs to be passed single and needs to be actually, voted on as single issues, not something broad to actually go into a package. As far as immigration is concerned, immigration reform should have been done a long time ago, but because Nancy Pelosi decided she wanted to say, well, look, we're not going to give former President Trump a win here going into political season, it's kind of the problem is that politics is kind of the thing that's kind of for like, let's just say politics is obviously pretty bad. Nobody likes politics, even though politics gets brought up, because if you deal with politics on a daily basis, it's part of the reason why I do these channels, because a lot of people don't live in the real world, especially some people, especially with all this wokeness crap. Nobody's living in any type of realism. Fact of the matter is that the government is completely ineffective, inept, and they're probably never going to fix this issue. So we need to get actually pro-veteran people out there who can learn to put actual veteran bills front and center, and at the same time actually get rid of all this illegal immigration. Now, guys, I gotta say this one more time. I am not anti-immigrant, okay? I am very, very pro-legal immigration. I love the idea of Hispanic honeys coming over here, and Hispanics, of course, I serve with a lot of them. I love the idea of people from other countries coming here, as long as they come here with good, actual, honest-to-God intentions and do not look to actually break the law in this country. Some people come here to exploit it. I'm all for those people who come here to actually get an education, do some good things. Look, I got a family of mine who married people from other countries. Got a cousin who married someone from New Zealand. Actually, it was an uncle who married someone from New Zealand. Somebody who I got relatives from Spain. Okay, so I'm not against immigration at all. I am against this massive illegal immigration and this border crisis issue. However, there is one thing I'm going to end this video on, which, by the way, could actually lose me some followers, but the crap has got to be said. With that being said, let's go ahead and roll into it. The last point that I want to make in this video is that I cannot speak to the mindset or to the experiences of the homeless veteran. The reason why I cannot do, and by the way, they're still our brothers. Whether you want to admit to it or not, they're still our brothers. Okay, I can't speak to their experiences. Now, guys, I made a video a while back talking about 22 a day. Now, somehow or another, YouTube completely copyright struck that video, even though it had no video clips or anything in it. They just struck the hell out of it. Very, very weird, very, very strange. And I needed to ask the question. I was trying to pose the question of, does it actually help veterans out to be told what they're being told with 22 a day? Don't worry, there'll be another video out. I'll probably release it this week. Where it's basically going to be a redo of that video. Because like I said, I can't figure out how the hell I got a copyright strike on that video. It's just weird. But the thing is this right here. I saw I want you to say it was a documentary a while back. I'll try to link it in the description box for you guys. It's talking about the homeless situation in California. And a lot of the guys that were homeless were, in fact, vets. As a matter of fact, the guy who was kind of in charge of that actual group himself, he too was a veteran himself. And once he was a Gulf War veteran. Like I said, I'll go back and rewatch it myself after I put it in the description box of this video. And he was talking about how a lot of the guys were not exactly trying to live, how do I say, by the rules of the places that they were at. So while I do think that the federal government and the state and local governments need to do a better job of providing for vets, that does not mean that some said individuals can't make the entire group look bad. Like I said, some guys can't get by because of life circumstances. Like I said, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about those who, quite frankly, don't want to try to fix their own circumstances. If you're not willing to fix your own circumstances, then maybe the state itself may prioritize the actual illegals over you yourself. Like I said, it's very, very bad. It's a very, very nasty system. And quite frankly, I think our homeless vets should definitely get priority. As a matter of fact, vets as a whole should get priority over illegals. And as I stated earlier in response to Joey Jones, it's about votes. But at the same time, though, when you've got guys who are not following the facilities that they're in, the rules itself, this type of stuff right here is going to become a problem. It's going to make it much, much worse than it already is. Guys, Gear Issue 33, John Claymore here. If you like the content, hit the like button, subscribe, share the video, sign off in the comment section. I want to get you guys' thoughts, and I'll see you guys later.